All right, the presidency has released a statement refuting what it calls false claims made by Advocate Malesela Teffo that the presidency is behind his alleged intimidation and subsequent decision to withdraw from the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. But to talk more about this, we are now joined here in studio by a presidential spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News. So let me just quote Teffo for the sake of those who have perhaps not been able to get clarity on what he had said. He said that, being arrested was a plan that was in fact hatched in Ramaphosa's office, President Ramaphosa's office, as I interfere with a plan for my innocent clients, his clients, to take blame for Senzo Meyiwa's murder. I withdraw. This is what the advocate had to say. You've responded, in fact, saying that you believe that those claims by Teffo are baseless. Which part exactly is baseless, and why do you believe Teffo would say something like this so openly in court and with cameras rolling?
Well, good afternoon. The entire part is baseless, quite frankly mischievous, and reckless of an officer of the court who you will expect to know better than that. When you make such claims, there's a level of veracity that you need to support these claims. So we find the entire thing quite puzzling, and it's perplexing as to why would he involve the presidency, a unit of government that's not involved in criminal investigations, that's not involved in trials. So whether he imagines this or whichever way he says it, the presidency was not involved. And, it kind of impacts negatively the image and the standing of the office of the president.
Yeah, and I mean, when a claim is, as you say, you call it baseless. When a claim is as baseless as you believe it to be, why would you then, entertain it? Why would you, dignify such utterances with a response? I mean, you're a presidential spokesperson. You came to our studios to come and clarify. If it's baseless, it's baseless. You let it go. Why are you here to clarify this issue? I mean, surely you could have just said, "Oh, that's what he said," but it's not true.
It will be irresponsible for us as the president's office to allow that level of misinformation to go unchallenged, because there will be people out there who will believe it, right? So we owe it to the public to correct misinformation. We owe it to the public to continuously enforce the president's standing and to enforce the image of his office and to elaborate and share understanding of what the presidency can or cannot do. But more importantly, this is an office that espouses the constitutional values that supports the safety, protection, and justice for all sort of principle and notion that is constitutionally enshrined. So when a high-profile matter as this one, a platform that's being watched by a whole lot of people is degraded in this manner and the name of the president is dragged into it, we can't leave it unchallenged, no matter how ridiculous it is. It is our responsibility to correct it.
Yeah, you have to admit though that there is, a number of strange things around this particular case, given the fact that this case has been dragging for so many years. And if you're unwilling to, admit that there's something strange happening, why would you not think that there's something strange happening, given that it's been so many years to uncover a case, a very well publicized case at that? And if you are saying there's nothing strange, are you then saying that perhaps our police are ill-equipped? And I mean, that really says something. That really says something about the government and your own police service. If there's nothing untoward or nothing strange that's going on with regards to this case. I mean, this has been pointed out by very many people and very many quarters. What is your view then on what's generally been happening for the past number of years in terms of uncovering what happened to Senzo Meyiwa?
Look, understandably, there's been a lot of anxiety around this case. Understandably, people have wanted to see some form of justice being delivered, considering who Senzo was, to all of us individually and to all of us as a nation. However, from the view of the President's office, we cannot pronounce on some of those issues. The matter is in court now. All we can do is to say, let's allow these issues to be ventilated in court and hope that this matter is concluded as speedily as possible for the sake of the Meyiwa family, as well as all of us that are interested in seeing justice served in this particular matter.
Will you be taking this further with regards to Advocate Teffo? I'm pointing specifically to the part in the statement that you released where you're saying, as an officer of the court and a professional in the legal fraternity, Advocate Teffo must appreciate the level of veracity that is necessary to support such claims about any institution or individual. And no doubt, when you say the individual, we're speaking of number one, the president. So are you at this point offended to the point that you would take this issue further?
We'll consider whatever other options we've got available to us, but at this stage I cannot say it definitively that this is the course of action we will follow. There are avenues available to the President to follow in regard to this matter. The President will take the advice of his legal team in terms of what should be the next steps.
Let's move on to another issue, sir. I want to talk about the issue of the suspended public protector, Advocate Malesela. We heard, of course, the UDM leader, Bantu Holomisa, saying that he believes that Section 194 of the Committee of Parliament should reflect on what he considers to be the failure to develop proper guidelines on how the heads of Chapter 9 institutions should be removed. What is your response to this? What do you have to say to what the UDM leader has had to say with regards to what's going on, around the public protection?
Well, if you talk about the failure of the committee to draw up guidelines in terms of the process, that's a matter that the National Assembly and Parliament will have to deal with.
Yeah.
On the side of the President, what the President did was to fulfill a constitutional obligation once the National Assembly triggers such a process. And in doing so, he conducted a fair process in allowing Advocate Malesela or giving Advocate Malesela a hearing before effecting the suspension. In doing so, the President also, as the Constitution obliges, considered the stability of the Office of the Public Protector. So matters of guidelines in terms of the inquiry, I will leave to Parliament and the National Assembly to deal with. But on the side of the President is satisfied that all his actions were within the parameters of the Constitution.
Yeah, and of course, we heard the President also saying that he, in fact, wouldn't be testifying, and there's no need for him to testify in the advocate's impeachment hearing, as he hadn't made any allegations against. So can you clarify that for us, please? Yeah,
there are two issues there that we need to appreciate, and I'll try to be as succinct as possible. Sure. The one is, this is a process that was triggered by the National Assembly. So the President did not make any allegations against Advocate Malesela, as you refer correctly to the statement. Therefore, there's no obligation on his side to prove or disprove some of these allegations. Parliament initiated the process to look at grounds of misconduct and incompetence against Advocate Malesela. That's number one.
But was it necessary to suspend pre that? I mean, was that a necessary step from the President? As he's saying, I don't have no horse in this race. It's basically what the President is saying. So did he have to preempt by suspending?
Our reference is the Constitution. It's not the President acting arbitrarily against Advocate Malesela. The Constitution is quite clear in terms of what needs to happen when heads of Chapter 9 institutions find themselves in such processes. The President can therefore suspend. So that was, yes, absolutely. That was a constitutional obligation on the side of the President. He could not ignore that obligation. So he acted in accordance with Section 194 3A in this regard of the Constitution. So, and the court judgments, because Advocate Malesela has tried to fight her suspension, the court judgments are quite clear in that regard. So that's number one. And number two, there's been this notion that the suspension somehow serves the president because Advocate Malesela had initiated an investigation. Section 2A of the Public Protector Act is quite clear with respect to protecting the integrity of active cases when the individual occupying the office is suspended. So those cases are going to continue. They will be investigated. So everything that the president did was within the constitutional parameter. This is a National Assembly process, but it required the president to respond accordingly as guided by the Constitution, which is what he did.
All right. Thanks very much for giving us your time. Then that is presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya speaking to us on two issues there. The statement made by Advocate Teffo in court, as well as weighing in on the public protector, Advocate Malesela.